Ambassador Chen Wei stood before the massive window of the Galactic Council Station, watching 12 different alien fleets move through space like deadly schools of fish. Each ship was larger than anything humanity had ever built. Each one carried weapons that could turn Earth's cities into glass. The sight should have terrified him, but Chen had seen worse things in his 60 years of life. The council chamber behind him buzzed with voices speaking in languages that hurt human ears. 12 species sat around a circular table that floated in the center of the room. Their forms were as different as their voices. Some walked on legs, others floated in tanks of liquid, and a few existed as pure energy contained in crystal shells. But they all shared one thing. They looked at Chen like he was a dangerous animal that needed to be put down. The Zephyrian representative spoke first. Its body was tall and thin, covered in blue scales that shifted color when it moved. Human ambassador, your species has been judged by this council. We find you guilty of aggressive expansion, reckless technology development, and threats to galactic peace. Chen kept his face calm, even though his heart was beating fast. He had expected this moment for months. Earth's colonies had been growing too quickly for the aliens' comfort. Human ships had been exploring too far, building too much, asking too many questions about things the council wanted to keep secret. We have given your people many chances to stop, continued the Zephyrian. You ignore our warnings. You refuse our guidance. You act like children playing with fire in a house made of wood. The Karathi delegate, a creature that looked like a giant spider made of metal and flesh, clicked its mandibles together. Humans are chaos. Everywhere they go, they change things. They break the order that has kept peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years. Chen had heard these complaints before. Humans were too violent, too unpredictable, too willing to turn peaceful technology into weapons. The aliens feared what they called humanity's creative destruction, the way humans took existing ideas and twisted them into something new and often dangerous. The council has reached a decision, announced the Valderan Prime, a being of pure thought that spoke through a mechanical voice box. Humanity will surrender all colonies outside the Sol system. You will submit to genetic modification to reduce your aggressive tendencies. Your species will accept permanent quarantine to your home star system. These terms are not negotiable. The words hit Chen like physical blows. Surrender their colonies? Millions of humans lived on those worlds. Many had been born there and had never seen Earth. Genetic modification meant changing what made humans human, and quarantine meant the end of everything humanity had worked for among the stars. You have 30 standard days to comply, the Zephyrian continued. If you refuse, the council will implement what we call pacification protocols. Your military will be destroyed. Your colonies will be occupied. Your leaders will be replaced with ones who understand the need for order. Chen finally spoke, his voice steady despite the anger burning in his chest. And if we agree to these terms, what guarantee do we have that you won't decide we're still too dangerous? What stops you from demanding more restrictions in the future? The alien delegates exchanged looks that Chen couldn't read. Finally, the Karathi spoke. Humans ask too many questions. This is part of your problem. Accept what we offer or lose everything. The meeting continued for hours, but nothing changed. The council had made its decision long before Chen arrived at this station. They spoke of humanity's crimes against galactic order. They listed examples of human aggression that sounded like normal exploration and colonization to Chen's ears. They talked about humanity like a disease that needed to be contained before it spread too far. As the session ended, Chen was escorted to his quarters by silent guards from 3 different species. The room was comfortable but clearly a prison. He had diplomatic immunity, but that meant little here, surrounded by fleets that could crush Earth's defenses in hours. He activated his secure communication link to Earth, knowing the aliens would intercept and decode any message he sent. That didn't matter. What mattered was making sure the right people understood what was coming. This is Ambassador Chen reporting from the council station, he said to the camera. Negotiations have concluded. The council's terms are unacceptable. Implementation of all contingency protocols is authorized. Repeat, all contingency protocols are authorized. To anyone listening, it sounded like diplomatic language about failed negotiations, but Admiral Sarah Martinez would understand. The hidden projects that humanity had been working on for years were about to become very important. Chen walked back to the window and looked out at the alien fleets. Ships from 12 different civilizations, each representing thousands of years of technological development. The Zephyrians had energy weapons that could boil oceans. The Karathi built ships that could survive inside stars. The Valdorans had shields that bent space itself. But Chen smiled as he watched them. The aliens had made a mistake that would cost them everything. They thought they understood humanity. They thought humans were just another violent species that could be controlled with overwhelming force. They were wrong. Humans were different, not because they were more violent or more aggressive than other species. They were different because they never stopped trying to find new ways to solve old problems. While the aliens perfected their ancient technologies, humans looked for approaches that nobody had ever tried before. The Council believed their combined fleets were unbeatable. Their weapons had conquered hundreds of species over thousands of years. Their tactics had been proven in countless wars. They knew everything about warfare that could be known. Chen thought about the projects hidden in Earth's outer system. Ships that existed in ways the aliens couldn't imagine. Weapons that used forces the Council's scientists had dismissed as impossible to control. Technologies that would make the aliens' advantages meaningless. 30 days, Chen said to his reflection in the window. You should have given us more time. Behind him, the communication link activated. Admiral Martinez's voice was calm and professional. Ambassador, we received your message. Operation Erebus is moving to final phase. All ships are ready for deployment. Earth stands with you. Chen nodded to himself. The next month would determine whether humanity joined the galactic community as equals or slaves. The Council thought the outcome was already decided. Their fleets were moving toward Sol system, confident in their power and their right to reshape humanity according to their will. But the aliens had forgotten something important about humans. When faced with impossible odds, when threatened with extinction, when pushed into a corner with no way out, humans didn't surrender. They got creative. And sometimes creativity was more dangerous than any weapon the galaxy had ever seen. The 30-day countdown had begun. Admiral Sarah Martinez stood in the war room deep beneath the Swiss Alps, surrounded by screens showing the movement of alien fleets across the galaxy. The Council's armada was already moving toward Earth, their ships leaving trails of exotic energy that human sensors could detect from light years away. 300 vessels, each one more powerful than anything in Earth's official fleet. How long until they reach Sol system? She asked. 26 days, ma'am, replied Lieutenant Commander Hayes, not looking up from his calculations. They're not trying to hide their approach, it's a show of force. Sarah nodded. The aliens wanted humanity to see them coming, to understand how hopeless resistance would be. It was psychological warfare, designed to make Earth surrender before the first shot was fired. Under normal circumstances, it might have worked, but these weren't normal circumstances. Dr. Vasquez, are you ready to brief the Council? Sarah asked. Dr. Elena Vasquez looked up from her tablet, her eyes bright with the kind of excitement that came from years of secret work finally bearing fruit. More than ready, Admiral. It's time they learned what we've really been doing out here. The Terran Defense Council filed into the room, 15 men and women who represented humanity's last hope. Most of them had no idea why they'd been called to this underground facility. They knew Earth faced a crisis, but they didn't know about the projects that had been hidden from even their oversight. Sarah activated the main display, showing a star map with red dots marking the approaching alien fleets. Ladies and gentlemen, in 26 days, the largest military force in galactic history will arrive at Earth. Their combined firepower could turn every planet in our system into molten rock. Our official fleet has 47 ships. They have 300. Council member Davidson, an elderly man who had served in 3 previous crises, shook his head. Then we need to evacuate what we can and prepare for occupation. Maybe if we cooperate, they'll honor their agreement to spare civilian populations. No, Sarah said firmly. We're not surrendering. Dr. Vasquez, please show them what we've been building. Elena activated her own console and the display changed to show something that looked impossible. A ship hung in space, but it seemed to exist only partly in normal reality. Its hull appeared solid one moment and transparent the next, as if it was phasing in and out of existence. This is the TDS Phantom's Edge, Elena announced. The first of 7 ships built using technology the galactic community has never mastered. Dark matter manipulation. The council members stared at the image in confusion. Council member Torres, a former physicist, was the first to speak. That's impossible. Dark matter can't be controlled. It barely interacts with normal matter at all. Elena smiled. That's what every other species in the galaxy believes. They've tried to harness dark matter for thousands of years and failed. So they gave up and focused on technologies they could understand. But humans have always been good at finding new approaches to old problems. She changed the display to show technical diagrams that hurt to look at directly. The mathematics involved dimensions that human minds weren't designed to process easily. We started with the assumption that dark matter doesn't follow the same rules as normal matter. Instead of trying to force it into patterns that work for atoms and molecules, we learned to work with its natural properties. Which are? Asked Davidson, though he looked like he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. Dark matter exists partially outside normal space-time, Elena explained. It interacts with gravity, but almost nothing else. Our ships use dark matter, conduits integrated into their hull structure. This allows them to phase between normal space and what we call shadow space. Admiral Martinez took over the briefing. Our ships can become completely invisible to conventional sensors. They can pass through solid matter, including enemy hulls. They can appear anywhere in a star system almost instantly. And their weapons. The display showed a test firing that had been recorded in deep space, far from any inhabited systems. A dark matter cannon fired what looked like empty space itself at an abandoned asteroid. The rock simply ceased to exist, not destroyed or vaporized, but erased from reality as if it had never been there. The council members sat in stunned silence for several minutes. Finally, Torres spoke. How is this possible? The energy requirements alone should be impossible. Dark matter makes up most of the universe, Elena replied. Once we learned to tap into it, power stopped being a problem. Our ships don't carry fuel in any conventional sense. They draw energy directly from the dark matter field that permeates all of space. Council member Kim, who had been quiet throughout the briefing, asked the question they were all thinking. How many of these ships do we have? 7, Sarah answered. Each one crewed by volunteers who understand their piloting technology that could kill them in ways we don't fully understand. Captain Torres commands the Phantom's Edge. The other 6 ships are Dark Tide, Shadow Walker, Void Hunter, Ghost, Ship, Night Terror, and Erebus Prime. 7 ships against 300, Davidson said slowly. Even with this technology, those aren't good odds. Sarah's smile was cold and predatory. You're thinking like a conventional military commander. These aren't conventional ships, watch. The display showed another recording, this one featuring all 7 dark matter ships in formation. As the council watched, the ships simply vanished from normal space. Then, seconds later, they reappeared scattered across a vast area of space, having moved distances that should have taken hours in mere moments. They can't fight what they can't see, Sarah explained. They can't hit what isn't fully present in normal reality. And they can't predict attacks that come from directions that don't exist in conventional space. Elena pulled up more data. We've been testing these ships for 2 years. They can phase through any known shield technology. Their weapons ignore conventional armor. And most importantly, they operate in ways that alien tactical computers can't predict or counter. But 7 ships, Kim began. 7 ships that can strike anywhere, anytime without warning, Sarah interrupted. 7 ships that can destroy enemy vessels from the inside. 7 ships that turn all of the aliens' technological advantages into disadvantages. She stood and faced the council directly. The Galactic Council has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years because they perfected overwhelming force. They build bigger ships, stronger weapons, better shields. They win by being more powerful than their enemies. And we can't match that power, added Elena. So we didn't try. Instead, we developed technology that makes their power irrelevant. A ship that exists partially outside reality doesn't care how thick your armor is. A weapon that erases matter at the quantum level doesn't care how strong your shields are. The council members looked at each other, understanding beginning to dawn on their faces. Council member Rodriguez, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. This is why they want to stop us. They don't fear our aggression. They fear our creativity. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. Every other species in the galaxy plays by the same rules. They compete to perfect existing technologies. Humans create entirely new approaches. That's what makes us dangerous to their established order. The display changed one final time, showing the 7 dark matter ships as they prepared for combat operations. Even on screen they looked wrong somehow, like holes cut in the fabric of reality itself. The alien fleets are expecting to face desperate humans with inferior technology, Sarah continued. They're bringing weapons designed to destroy conventional ships and shields designed to stop conventional attacks. They have no defense against weapons that shouldn't exist and tactics that violate the known laws of physics. Elena nodded. We've had years to prepare for this moment. Every system has been tested, every weapon has been calibrated. The crews have trained for scenarios the aliens can't imagine. Admiral Martinez looked around the room at the faces of the council members. Fear was giving way to something else, hope, and perhaps a touch of the same predatory anticipation she felt herself. The Galactic Council thinks they're coming to pacify a rebellious colony, she said. Instead, they're about to discover that humanity has spent the last decade preparing to rewrite the rules of warfare itself. Operation Erebus is ready to begin. Admiral Korath of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue-green world of Earth grow larger on the main display. Behind his ship, 300 vessels from 12 different species moved in perfect formation. It was the largest fleet assembled in over 1,000 years, representing the combined might of galactic civilization. Signal from the human homeworld, Admiral, reported his communications officer. Korath's scaled head tilted slightly. Put it through. The display showed a human woman in military uniform. Admiral Martinez looked calm despite facing overwhelming odds. Admiral Korath, I am Admiral Sarah Martinez of the Terran Defense Force. You are in violation of human space. Withdraw immediately. Korath almost laughed. The audacity of these creatures never ceased to amaze him. Admiral Martinez, you have had 30 days to consider the Council's generous terms. Your time has expired. Surrender now and your species will be spared unnecessary suffering. Counteroffer, Martinez replied. Leave our system now and we won't destroy your fleet. This time Korath did laugh, a sound like scales scraping against metal. Around the bridge his officers joined in. The humans had 47 ships against 300. Their weapons were primitive compared to Zephyrian energy cannons. Their shields wouldn't last seconds against a coordinated assault. You amuse me, human. Your bravado is impressive, but foolish. Scan their fleet, he ordered his tactical officer. Sir, I'm not detecting any human ships in the system, came the confused reply. Korath frowned. That's impossible. Run a full spectrum scan. Running now, sir, I'm picking up. Wait, that's strange. There are some gravitational anomalies scattered throughout the system, but no ship signatures. On the communication channel, Admiral Martinez smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. You're looking for our ships in the wrong place, Admiral. You're looking in normal space. Before Korath could ask what she meant, his tactical officer screamed. Sir, ship materializing inside our formation. It's inside the Karathi dreadnought. The main display, Korath watched something impossible happen. A ship appeared from nowhere, not beside or behind the Karathi vessel, but literally inside its hull. The alien dreadnought, a massive ship that had conquered dozens of worlds, simply came apart around the human vessel like it was made of paper. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Korath shouted. Return fire. Energy beams lanced out from dozens of ships targeting the human vessel. But the beams passed through empty space. The ship was there and not there at the same time, existing in a state that Korath's mind couldn't fully process. Admiral, I'm reading 6 more ships materializing throughout the formation, his tactical officer reported, his voice rising with panic. Korath watched his fleet's perfect formation dissolve into chaos. Human ships appeared without warning, struck with weapons that seemed to erase matter itself, then vanished before return fire could target them. A Valdoran cruiser simply ceased to exist, leaving only empty space where a kilometer-long warship had been moments before. How are they doing this? Korath demanded. His science officer, a being who had studied physics for 3 centuries, could only shake his head. Their ships appear to be phasing in and out of normal spacetime. It's theoretically impossible. Matter can't exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Another ship died, this one, a Thraxian destroyer that had the misfortune of having a human vessel materialize inside its engine core. The explosion took out 2 nearby ships as well. Target their homeworld, Korath ordered. If we can't hit their ships, we'll force them to defend their planet. Sir, the moment we target Earth, one of their ships appears inside our formation and destroys whatever vessel fired, his tactical officer replied. We can't get a clean shot. Captain Torres of the Phantom's Edge spoke over the communication channel, his voice calm despite the battle raging around him. Admiral Korath, you're fighting a war you don't understand. Your ships are designed to fight other ships like themselves. Ours are designed to fight in ways your scientists thought impossible. The Phantom's Edge materialized directly in front of Korath's flagship, so close that he could see the strange waylight bent around its hull. The human ship looked wrong somehow, like it was only partially present in reality. Your weapons can't, Block onto targets that exist between dimensions, Torres continued. Your shields can't stop attacks that originate from inside your own hull. Your tactics assume your enemy follows the same physical laws you do. Dark matter cannons fired from the Phantom's edge. The beams looked like tears in space itself, and when they hit Korath's shields, the energy barriers simply weren't there anymore. The flagship shuddered as sections of its hull ceased to exist. "We surrender!" Korath screamed into his communicator. "All ships stand down. Repeat, all ships stand down." But the human ships didn't stop. Another Zephyrian cruiser died. Then, a Karathi battleship. The aliens tried to retreat but found that the human vessels could appear anywhere in the system faster than conventional ships could move. "Admiral Martinez," Korath called desperately. "We surrender. Stop the attack." Martinez's voice came through crystal clear. "Admiral, you came here to pacify humanity, to destroy our military and occupy our worlds, to change what we are at the genetic level. Did you think we would simply let you do that?" A third of the alien fleet was gone now, destroyed or disabled. The survivors huddled together trying to create overlapping fields of fire, but it was useless. The human ships appeared inside their formations, struck without warning, and vanished before retaliation was possible. "Please," Korath begged, "we acknowledge Earth's sovereignty. We withdraw our ultimatum. Just stop the killing." "No," Admiral Martinez replied. "You don't get to threaten the existence of our entire species and then beg for mercy when your plan fails. But I'm not like you, Admiral. I don't enjoy unnecessary slaughter." The human ships stopped firing, but they remained visible throughout the alien formation like ghosts at a funeral. "You have 1 minute to begin evacuation of this system," Martinez continued. "Any ship still in Sol space after that time will be destroyed. And Admiral?" "Yes?" "When you return to the Council, make sure you tell them what you saw here today. Make sure they understand that the old rules don't apply to humanity. We don't fight the way you expect. We don't lose the way you expect. And we definitely don't surrender the way you expect." Korath watched his remaining ships begin emergency jumps to hyperspace, fleeing the system in disorder. More than half his fleet was gone, destroyed by 7 ships that shouldn't have existed. "Admiral," his communications officer called out, "the Council is demanding a full report. They want to know how the humans defeated our fleet." Korath looked at the display showing the human ships, still phasing in and out of reality like nightmares made manifest. How could he explain what he had witnessed? How could he make the Council understand that everything they thought they knew about warfare had just become obsolete? "Tell them," he said finally, "that humanity has weapons that exist outside the known laws of physics. Tell them that human ships can appear anywhere, strike from impossible angles and vanish before we can respond. Tell them that our shields, our armor, our tactics, none of it matters against an enemy that fights from between the dimensions." He paused, watching Earth grow smaller as his flagship retreated. "And tell them that we just learned why the Galactic Council was right to fear human creativity. We should have destroyed them when we had the chance before they learned to make the impossible possible." The surviving alien ships jumped to hyperspace, carrying word of humanity's impossible victory to every corner of the galaxy. Behind them, 7 ships that existed partially outside reality resumed their patrol of Earth's system, waiting for the next challenge to arrive. The first battle was over. Humanity had won. But Admiral Martinez knew this was only the beginning. The news of Admiral Korath's defeat spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, every major civilization knew that humanity's impossible ships had destroyed half of the largest fleet ever assembled. The Galactic Council called emergency sessions. Ancient defense pacts were activated. Species that had been neutral for centuries began choosing sides. Captain Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the TDS Dark Tide, watching a Karathi supply depot burn in the darkness of space. His ship hung invisible between dimensions, a ghost observing the destruction it had just caused. Around the burning station, automated cargo vessels drifted helplessly, their computer systems scrambled by weapons that shouldn't exist. "Target destroyed, Captain," reported Lieutenant Kim from the weapons station. "All defensive platforms are offline, no survivors detected." Marcus nodded, though he felt no satisfaction in the victory. These weren't soldiers they were fighting. They were supply clerks and maintenance workers who had never expected to become targets in a war they didn't understand. "Signal from Admiral Martinez," announced Communications Officer Chen. The holographic display activated, showing Admiral Martinez in the Dark Tide's war room aboard Earth's hidden command station. Behind her, status boards showed the locations of all 7 dark matter ships as they conducted operations across 3 sectors of space. "Report, Captain Torres," she said. "Supply Depot Karathi 7 is destroyed," Marcus replied. "Their main ammunition stores for this sector are now gone. The local defense fleet won't be able to maintain combat operations for more than a week." "Good. Captain Park and the Shadow Walker has just eliminated their shipyard at Therax Prime. Captain Johnson's Ghost Ship took out 3 communication relays in the Valderan system. The Council's ability to coordinate their forces is breaking down." Marcus studied the tactical display. Red dots marked Council military assets across dozens of star systems. Green dots showed successful strikes by human ships. In just 2 weeks, since the battle at Earth, they had crippled the Council's ability to wage war. "Admiral, the enemy is starting to adapt," Marcus reported. "They're moving supply convoys in random patterns. They're using quantum encryption on their communications. Some of their ships are equipped with experimental sensors that might be able to detect our dark matter signatures." "I know," Martinez replied. "Intelligence suggests they're also developing new weapons, specifically designed to fight ships that exist partially outside normal space. We can't maintain this advantage forever." "Then what's our next move?" Martinez's expression grew grim. "We escalate. The Council thinks this is just a military conflict they can win with better technology and tactics. They need to understand that they're facing something completely different." The communication ended, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts. Through the viewport, he watched the Karathi supply depot continue to burn. Emergency beacon signals flashed desperately in the darkness, calling for rescue ships that might never come. This wasn't how war was supposed to work. For 10,000 years, galactic conflicts had followed predictable patterns. Fleets met in open space, the stronger force won. Planets surrendered or were conquered. There were rules, traditions, codes of conduct that all civilized species followed. Humanity had thrown all of that away. The Dark Tide's dark matter engines activated with a sound like reality tearing. The ship phased out of normal space, traveling distances that should have taken days in mere minutes. When they re-entered normal reality, they were orbiting a different star entirely. "New target acquired," announced the tactical officer. "Council Forward Command Post Delta Sector. Minimal defenses but high strategic value." Marcus looked at the peaceful space station hanging in orbit around a gas giant. It looked more like a research facility than a military base, but intelligence indicated it coordinated Council operations across 6 star systems. "Sir, I'm detecting civilian life signs aboard the station," reported the sensor operator. "Families, children." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. The rules of war said you didn't target civilians, but those rules had been written by the same Council that wanted to genetically modify humanity into harmless sheep. "Give them 30 minutes to evacuate all non-essential personnel," he decided. "Then we destroy the facility." The evacuation proceeded quickly. Small transport ships fled the station like insects abandoning a nest. The Council forces knew they couldn't fight what they couldn't see, so they didn't try. They just ran. When Navi, the station was empty except for essential military personnel. The dark tide struck. Dark matter cannons erased sections of the facility from reality. Within minutes, the command post that had coordinated the defense of 6 star systems simply ceased to exist. "Captain," called the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the Council High Command." The main display activated, showing a Valderan Prime, one of the energy beings that led the galactic government. Its mechanical voice carried notes of desperation that Marcus had never heard from their species before. "Human vessel, this is Prime Nexus of the Valderan Collective. We demand you identify yourself and explain your actions." Marcus almost smiled. They still didn't understand. "This is Captain Torres of the Terran defense ship Dark Tide. We're conducting military operations against hostile forces." "You are violating every treaty of warfare," the Prime protested. "You attack supply depots and communication facilities. You strike without warning against civilian targets. This is not how civilized species conduct war." "You're right," Marcus agreed. "This isn't civilized warfare. This is what happens when you threaten to destroy a species that refuses to play by your rules." He gestured to his tactical display, which showed the locations of dozens of Council facilities across the sector. "You have military assets protecting every important system. You have defense fleets that could destroy any conventional attack force. Your strategy assumes we'll meet you in honorable battle where you're superior. Numbers and technology will win." The Dark Tide phased out of normal space again, appearing inside the shields of a nearby patrol craft. The alien ship's hull simply wasn't there anymore when the human vessel materialized inside it. But we don't fight honorable battles, Marcus continued as the wreckage of the patrol craft drifted past his viewport. We fight to win. We attack your supply lines, your communications, your command structure. We make it impossible for you to coordinate your forces or maintain your equipment. This is terrorism, the Prime accused. No, Marcus replied coldly. This is what you get when you try to genocide a species that's better at warfare than you are. The communication cut off, leaving Marcus alone with his crew and his conscience. Around him, the bridge crew worked efficiently at their stations, carrying out orders that would have been unthinkable just months ago. Lieutenant Kim looked up from her console. Sir, we're receiving new target assignments from Command. Admiral, Martinez wants us to hit the Council's main fuel depot at Zephyra Prime. Marcus nodded. Zephyra Prime was the heart of Zephyrian space, heavily defended and considered untouchable by conventional forces. But the Dark Tide wasn't a conventional ship. Set course for Zephyra Prime, he ordered. Maximum stealth protocols. As his ship phased between dimensions, Marcus thought about the war they were fighting. The Council had expected humans to be either compliant subjects or defeated enemies. They hadn't prepared for an enemy that could strike anywhere, anytime, without warning. Every supply depot they destroyed meant Council ships couldn't refuel. Every communication relay they eliminated made it harder for alien forces to coordinate. Every command post they erased created confusion and fear among their enemies. The aliens were learning that their technological superiority meant nothing against an enemy they couldn't predict or counter. Their vast fleets were useless if they couldn't find targets to fight. Their ancient tactics were obsolete against weapons that violated the known laws of physics. But Marcus knew this couldn't last forever. Eventually, the Council would adapt. They would develop new sensors, new weapons, new strategies. The war would escalate until one side or the other was completely destroyed. The question was whether humanity could achieve its goals before that happened. The Dark Tide emerged from shadow space near Zephyra Prime, invisible to the massive defense platforms that guarded the system. Below them, the heavily fortified fuel depot that supplied a third of the Council's war machine waited for destruction. Beginning attack run, Marcus announced to his crew. In the darkness between dimensions, humanity's ghost ships continued their hunt. The Nexus was the most heavily defended location in the galaxy. Built inside a hollow moon orbiting the galactic core, it housed the seat of the Galactic Council and represented 10,000 years of accumulated power and technology. Energy shields, layered around the structure like the shells of an onion. Defense platforms bristled with weapons that could destroy planets. The combined fleets of 12 species formed protective formations throughout the system. None of it mattered. Admiral Sarah Martinez stood on the bridge of the Phantom's Edge as all 7 dark matter ships materialized inside the Nexus itself. Not near it. Not around it, but literally inside the council chambers where the galaxy's rulers had gathered for their final desperate meeting. The aliens looked up in terror as 7 impossible ships phased into reality around their circular table. Some tried to activate personal shields. Others attempted to call for help. A few simply stared in shock at vessels that existed partially outside the reality they thought they understood. Honored council members, Admiral Martinez announced, her voice carrying through every speaker in the facility. I am Admiral Sarah Martinez of the Terran Defense Force. Your war against humanity is over. The Zephyrian High Commander, the same species that had issued humanity's ultimatum, rose from his seat. His blue scales had lost their shimmer, and his voice shook with barely controlled fear. You cannot be here. This facility is protected by quantum barriers. Nothing can penetrate our defenses. Your defenses were designed to stop conventional attacks, Martinez replied calmly. We don't use conventional attacks. Around the chamber, holographic displays activated showing the devastation humanity's ghost fleet had inflicted across the galaxy. Supply depots destroyed, communication networks crippled, military installations erased from existence. In 6 weeks of warfare, 7 human ships had accomplished what should have required thousands of vessels and years of fighting. Your combined fleets are scattered and demoralized, Martinez continued. Your supply lines are broken. Your communication network is in chaos. Most of your military commanders are afraid to leave port because they know my ships can appear anywhere, anytime. The Karathi delegate, a metal and flesh creature that had survived the first battle at Earth, clicked its mandibles nervously. What do you want? Surely you didn't come here just to gloat about your victories. Martinez smiled, but there was no warmth in the expression. I came here to offer you a choice. The same kind of choice you offered humanity 6 weeks ago. She gestured, and the holographic displays changed to show human colonies throughout the galaxy. Worlds that had been thriving centers of human civilization before the Council's ultimatum. You demanded we surrender our colonies, submit to genetic modification, and accept permanent quarantine to our home system. You called these terms generous. You said we had no choice but to accept them. The alien leaders exchanged glances, understanding, beginning to dawn on their faces. Now I'm offering you similar generosity, Martinez continued. The Galactic Council is dissolved, effective immediately. Each member species will withdraw their military forces to their own home systems. All claims of authority over other species are renounced, and Earth will have permanent veto power over any future attempts at galactic government. The Valderan Prime, a being of pure energy contained in crystal, pulsed with agitation. This is impossible. The Council has maintained peace for 10 millennia. Without central authority, the galaxy will descend into chaos. You mean chaos like trying to commit genocide against a species whose only crime was expanding too quickly for your comfort? Martinez asked. That kind of peaceful order? Captain Torres, commanding the Phantom's Edge from his position inside the Council chambers, activated his ship's weapons systems. The sound of dark matter cannons charging filled the room with a noise like reality screaming. You have 60 seconds to decide, Martinez announced. Accept our terms, or we demonstrate what happens to governments that threaten human extinction. The Council members huddled together, their various forms creating a bizarre conference of desperate alien leaders. Martinez could hear fragments of their conversation through her ship's sensors. Some wanted to fight, others begged for negotiation. A few seemed ready to accept any terms that would end their nightmare. Finally, the Zephyrian High Commander stood. If we agree to your terms, what guarantee do we have that humanity won't use these weapons to conquer the galaxy? Martinez had expected this question. Because we don't want to rule the galaxy, we never did. All we wanted was to expand, to explore, to build new colonies among the stars. You're the ones who decided that was unacceptable. She paused, letting her words sink in. But I'll make you a counteroffer. Agree to our terms, and humanity will. Share dark matter technology with species that prove they can handle it responsibly. Work with us as equals, and you'll gain access to technologies that will revolutionize your civilizations. The alien leaders stared at her in shock. After everything that had happened, she was offering to share the very weapons that had defeated them. Why? Asked the Karathi delegate. Why offer us anything after what we tried to do to your species? Because spite is a luxury we can't afford, Martinez replied. The galaxy is a big place. There are threats out there that we haven't even discovered. Yet, we're stronger working together than apart. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared on the communication channel from Earth. The dark matter technology isn't just about weapons. It could revolutionize space travel, energy production, even medicine. But it requires a fundamental change in how you think about physics and reality. She activated another display, showing potential applications of dark matter manipulation, ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months, power sources that could fuel entire civilizations, medical technologies that could repair damage at the quantum level. The choice is yours, Martinez said. Accept our terms and join us as partners in exploring these possibilities. Or refuse, and we'll make sure the old Galactic Council never threatens anyone again. The 60 seconds stretched into minutes as the alien leaders debated among themselves. Finally, the Valdoran Prime spoke for the group. The Galactic Council accepts your terms. We dissolve our authority and withdraw our forces. But we request formal negotiations regarding the technology sharing you mentioned. Martinez nodded. Agreed, but understand. Any species that proves they can't handle dark matter technology responsibly will lose access to it permanently, and any attempt to recreate the old Council system will be met with immediate response. The 7 human ships began, phasing back out of normal reality, preparing to leave the Nexus. But before they vanished completely, Martinez had one final message. To the people listening throughout the galaxy, remember what happened here. Remember that humanity didn't seek this war. We were forced into it by leaders who thought they knew better than we did about our own destiny. We fought not for conquest, but for survival. The Phantom's Edge flickered between dimensions as it prepared to return to normal space. The age of the Galactic Council is over. What comes next depends on whether the galaxy species choose to work together as equals, or whether they need another lesson in what happens when they threaten human extinction. The 7 dark matter ships vanished from the Nexus, leaving behind alien leaders who were still trying to process what had just happened. In 6 weeks, humanity had gone from facing genocide to dictating terms to their would-be destroyers. But Admiral Martinez knew this was just the beginning. The old order was broken, but building a new one would be even more challenging. Humanity now held technologies that could reshape the galaxy, but with that power came responsibility. As the Phantom's Edge emerged from shadow space near Earth, Martinez looked out at the blue-green world that had birthed a species capable of impossible things. Humanity had survived its first test as a galactic power. Now they would discover what they could become when they stopped fighting for survival and started building for the future. The galaxy would never be the same. And perhaps that was exactly what it needed.